Welcome to the program. I'm Mark Imperial. This segment's being brought to you by booksgrowbusiness.com. It's the place where entrepreneurs and professionals publish to grow their businesses and to leave a legacy. We're doing a series of business spotlights on remarkable people, places, and things across the country and even in your town. Joining me today on this segment from the mid-coast of Maine is Deborah Flood. She's a visual artist specializing in horse art. Deborah, welcome to the program.
Thank you. I appreciate the invite.
Deborah, tell us a little bit about your work and the types of folks that you serve.
I work in oils and watercolors, and the people that I serve are horse people, mostly. I also have people who are also just have, this emotional connection with animals in general. It doesn't just have to be the horses. And that's kind of what I hint upon with my work.
Is a lot of your art, what percentage of it is commissioned art versus stuff that art that you create? Tell me a little bit more about your business.
I mostly create my own work from my own reference photos. I go out in the field and do a lot of photography, go to horse shows and different events. And I do some commission work. Sometimes someone will want their horse or their dog created in a lasting piece of art, and I will do that for them.
Fantastic. Give me an idea of, for example, you, as you mentioned, you create a lot of your art from reference photography, and you go out and do photography yourself. When you go to start a project, is there something you have in mind, or is it something that just happens and you capture the moment? Tell us a little bit about your process.
A little bit of both. When I go to the horse shows, you never know what you're going to see for horses. I mean, it's a public event. And sometimes I will see one and it will just hit me. And I just can't get my camera off that animal or with its owner. You can just tell they have a special connection going on. And that's what I like to capture. I've also been to some reenactment events and some living history museums where right now I'm working on a series from that. And so it's this young woman who has workhorses and she works with her family. So I'm working on a series of paintings, and so far I've done 13.
Terrific. Tell us a little bit about the different mediums. You mentioned some of them. What are the mediums that you specialize in, and what makes them different, or if you can say better than other types of mediums with your style of art?
For a long time, I worked in watercolors. My children were small, and the oil paints have, toxic things in them. So I went with the watercolors for a long time. And the watercolor I did with brushes, and they lend really good to detail for the way that I work, a lot of dry brush. Then I've started to move into my oil paintings. My hands were bothering me with holding the brushes. So a little bit of carpal tunnel. So I went on to the oil paintings and started painting with a palette knife. So now I'm wielding knives. And I'm really enjoying the process. I took some workshops with an arts professor from our University of Maine, and she taught me a great deal about color theory with the oil paints. And I feel I'm getting across my message with the palette knife and the paints and the color.
Do you find that buyers are specific about the types of mediums that they want their art, or is it one of those when you see it, you just like it and you want it?
A little bit of both. I've noticed that when I was doing watercolors, those collectors and followers were mostly just in love with my watercolors. And then when I started to do the oils, then I started getting more collectors and more followers who like the oils. And then I've had people, collectors and followers tell me they like both. So I guess it's just a mash of different people that they like different things, but
And with art, there shouldn't be any rules anyway, right?
right. That's true. Yeah.
Deborah, tell us like how you got started. What inspired you to explore art, get into art, and specifically, what inspired you to focus on horse art?
I grew up on a horse farm. I was probably 2 or 3 years old when my parents started getting into the horses, and my father had always grown up with horses and working on the farm, living in rural Maine. We had plenty of land and seclusion to have the large animals. Um, and I just had connections with the horses we had. So I know the connection of those horses. And I grew up in a family of artists. And I was encouraged to keep, painting and drawing. So my paints and my drawing pads and all of that was like my babysitters. I just sat at the table and was constantly drawing our horses. And it just became my dream to have, my studio and run my business as an artist. And here I am.
Deborah, this has been absolutely terrific. For folks listening right now that are into horse art and want to connect with you, where can they find you? Where can they purchase your art? What types of things can you help them with?
They can find me on debfloodart.com. My email and contact is on there and my phone number. I also have Facebook where most of all my followers are. That's just look up Deborah Flood and you'll find my profile picture is usually a painting of a horse. I also have a business page. It's Deborah Flood Studio. I think Deborah Flood Art Studio, the business Facebook. I do my works in progress on those pages. So if they're interested in how things are started and to start to finish, they can follow along and ask questions. I have a lot of people who do that. And it's fun. So yeah.
That's terrific. Deborah, I really appreciate you taking the time and sharing with my audience. Absolutely fascinating. And I'm excited to explore debfloodart.com and see your work and connect with you online. So I appreciate you taking the time, and I wish you continued success for you and for all of your clients.
Thank you. I really appreciate the opportunity to be online with you. Thank you.
This segment's been brought to you by booksgrowbusiness.com. It's the place where professionals and entrepreneurs publish to grow their businesses and to leave a legacy. That's all for now. I'm Mark Imperial, and thanks for tuning in.